So are you implying that, why were you getting paid?
From bringing her to and from places. So whatever.
You're telling us that you were getting paid to drive her places.
Right.
But you were not setting up these meetings for men to have sex with this child.
Right. She had her own people. So when I would bring her, she'll basically pay me money for bringing her wherever I was bringing her.
Right. We're all gonna buy that. You know, where I'm from, they call you a madam. Quite a sophisticated word for a female, right? But driving around underage relatives for your financial gain. Then taking no accountability while locked up, getting many, many, many write-ups while locked up, or as they call them in Connecticut, tickets. Quite a long record of offenses while in Connecticut. But let's see what this parole board does. Let's see how they treat this woman who was only sentenced a charge of injury or risk of injury to a minor, a maximum sentence of 4 years. The date of the sentence was 12/18/2023. So, gosh, she hasn't even been locked up a year at the time of this parole hearing. Ain't that just odd? But remember, it's just children, right? Not that important. I'll unpack it with what details we have.
Ebony Thomas, 424-920.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of parole application for Ebony Thomas, inmate number 424-920. She is serving a sentence of 10 years, suspended after 4 years with 5 years probation for risk of injury. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of April 7th, 2024. There is no victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan that has been reviewed, shows that the offender is currently participating in the short-term sex offender program. Utilizing the women's risk needs assessment order, the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the moderate range. Ms. Thomas, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
So in the beginning, when I first had got incarcerated, I was very in denial about the case. I didn't want to take accountability for it. I felt like I did nothing wrong. After months of being incarcerated, I had time to sit with myself and come to conclusion that my part in it was as bad as it seemed, and I took accountability for it. Obviously, like being sober, it was more so I focused more so on what I did wrong. At the time when the event happened, I obviously wasn't sober. So I feel like I just wasn't being an adult about the situation and owning up to what I did wrong. Since then, I've been in here. I feel like it was a good thing for me to come in here because being out there could have been a worse situation. The 27th will be 2 years I've been in here. So did a lot of programming. I've been in school since I've been here. I was in GED at first, and then they just switched me over to high school diploma. So when I first came in, I had 4 credits. I'm now on 10 credits. I've got a certificate from finishing business ed because that was one of the classes I was taking this semester. And I've just honestly been staying out the way to myself and just trying to focus on the right things.
Okay, thank you. We have some questions for you, okay? When we're done, we'll deliberate and give you our decision. Okay, so you said you came out of your denial a month after being incarcerated?
Like a couple months after.
Okay, except you had an interview with the parole officer last month.
Yep.
And you still denied committing your offense.
No,
all right.
I know that
I'll just ask you flat out, what are you responsible for? What is your part in this crime?
Basically being the one who was allowing what the situation was to go on. basically like bringing back and forth the victim to and from places, pretty much.
To and from places for what reason? What places?
Wherever she needed to go, she was basically going to meet different guys.
Okay, so your part in it was you were the driver?
Yeah,
And did you know where she was going?
not
What
all
she
the
was planning to
time.
do?
Not all the time. And
What does
then
that
after
mean,
the
not all the
fact.
time? We're gonna have an open, honest, and frank discussion here.
So in the beginning, she wasn't telling me where I was taking her. After months, when she started coming back with the money, that's when she was telling me what she was doing. But me at that time, I wasn't like thinking about the consequences or like the risk or anything. I was more so just taking the money to like provide for me and what I was doing at that time, which I was doing Percocets and stuff like that. So like I wasn't really sitting there thinking about the whole situation.
So are you implying that, why were you getting paid?
From bringing her to and from places. So like whatever.
You're telling us that you were getting paid to drive her places,
Right.
but you were not setting up these meetings for
No.
men to have sex with this child.
Right. She had her own people. So when I would bring her, she'll basically pay me money for bringing her wherever I was bringing her.
And that's your only involvement.
Right.
So in your interview with the parole officer, you denied any knowledge of the victim's actions after you dropped them off at their destination. Do you recall that?
No.
You don't recall saying that
No.
last month? I mean, it appears that you're, I mean, I want to say coming around, but I don't even know that that's a good enough term. But are you done with the short-term sex offender program?
Yeah, I finished that about like 3 or 4 months ago now.
Right. Okay, I do have that, September 14th. What did you learn from that program?
Basically putting myself in the victim's shoes and seeing how she felt about the whole situation. Basically, it was more so like they would describe situations, different situations, and like we would have to sit there and put what we would have did and what we wouldn't have did. Basically stuff like that.
Okay. Have you read your police report?
No.
Okay. So how would you explain that your phone number and email address were linked to these prostitution advertisements and meeting setups with different men? How would you explain that?
Because they weren't using their phones. They were using my phone because they were in relationships. So they didn't want their partners to see what they were doing. So they would use my phone. I had multiple phones.
Okay, but you would know what people were saying on your phone, no?
That was for them. That phone was for them to use. I had my own personal phone. My personal
who?
phone
For who to use?
for the victim. So
So
like that
you-
was her phone under my line because I had a
Why
phone
would
for
you
her.
pay for her to have a phone?
Because that's my baby father's niece and we all had a family plan.
Okay, and what about your email address? How do you explain that your email address being used to place these advertisements?
My email address is linked to all my phones. That's just where all my emails go to.
Oh, so you're saying these children were posting with your email address advertisements?
Yeah, because you said it was up there, correct?
Boy, all right, so you have 12, I'll move on because I'm not sure what you're taking responsibility for. You started off with you're taking responsibility, but it's very clear that you continue to deny your offense behaviors. And why would your victims, why would these young girls say that you were helping them to prostitute themselves or setting it up, actually? Why would they say that?
So one of the victims I know is the niece of my daughter's father. So me and her she was living with me at the time. She was doing whatever she was doing with somebody else, and she had started living with me. That's when she had asked me at first, can you start taking me places? I said, yeah. I wasn't asking her because I didn't care. I know that she's always going different places. And then after a while, when she had started bringing back home a lot of money, that's when my baby father was telling me, okay, ask her what she's doing. So then that's when I asked her, and then that's when I came to conclusion. But like I said, I wasn't paying attention. I was always high. So me sitting there allowing it to happen, that's what I was basically
But why
telling her.
why would they say that you were setting these meetings up?
Oh, I don't know. One of them said that, the other one tried to make her say that it was me when it wasn't. So she told them that she took accountability. I didn't have anything to do with that. And then the one that is obviously got me in here is the one that's saying I made
Got
her.
me in here. You got yourself in
that.
there. Nobody
Well,
got you
yeah.
in there. Yeah. Okay, so you have no explanation for why they would point the finger at you.
I mean, the only thing I could think of was bringing them to and from places. But other than that, I don't talk to the guys. So
No. Okay, yeah. So are you still married now?
yes,
And your husband had no idea that you were incarcerated?
no, not at the
Where did he
beginning.
think you were?
I didn't want nobody to know.
Where did he think you were?
Home with my mom, because that's where I was at the time. I was back and forth. And then at my own place, I had got my own apartment. And then as soon as I got my own apartment, right after, that's when, so I had posted bond on this case. I was on a GPS bracelet. I had a set curfew for 6:30. I kept violating it within my work schedules, and then bringing the kids back and forth to the babysitters. So then I came back in here. So when I had got rearrested, he didn't know what I was where I was at all. And I told my mom not to tell him.
Wow. So
He said,
why did you finally tell him?
Because I mean, it's been a year, 2 years now. So I had to end up telling him where I was. And then when he found out where I was, he wanted to come up here and visit me. But I still didn't really want him or my kids coming up here because this is just not a place for them to come.
Sounds like there's a lot of work to be done, Ms. Thomas. And I really don't know how I can help you because I don't even know where to start. It's hard to talk to you about an offense when you're in fact not taking responsibility for it and you seem to have an excuse for everything. How about all these tickets? You have 12 tickets, 2 years, and they're pretty serious.
Yeah,
How do you
they're all
explain that?
fighting.
They're not all fighting. There's a false information, there's a contraband, there's a security tampering. There are some fighting. But how do you explain all that?
So in the first year when I had got here, it wasn't really good. I was, like I said, I was mad at the world. So I was getting into a lot of problems with the girls. This one girl and after this situation, I had got burned with hot water on my chest. After that situation, I just kept on getting into fights. She has a lot of people in here. So after that, it was just problem after problem. And then I calmed down around a certain time frame. That's when I started going back to school because I had stopped after a while. I started going back to school, staying out the way. And then the false information one was from school because I needed to leave because I had got a surgery done here. And basically it was medical problems, and I didn't want to sit there and tell them my privacy. So I got in trouble for lying, saying I was going back to the unit to talk to the counselor.
I wasn't asking for details because we have those, by the way.
Oh,
I was
okay.
asking you why you're getting all these tickets. We see people who do not get these tickets. So I think you provided an explanation. I don't know. But do you think you've calmed down since then? Your last fighting ticket was in July.
Yeah, I beat that ticket. That was,
Eat that ticket.
yeah,
Okay.
because when I talked to the social worker, she said there was a ticket up there that was showing, but I had beat that ticket because I never fought back.
So you did not beat that ticket. And that's not the term we use. You were found not guilty of one in September. You were.
Okay, that's the one.
Right. I'm not, I didn't even mention that one. I'm talking about the July one. That you were found guilty of and you lost privileges for. All right. Well, you have 5 years probation to follow your sentence. I would strongly recommend that you take advantage of that time. Any services and programming they have to offer you, you'll be required to do programming anyhow. But I hope that you learned something from this incarceration and that you can move on and be successful in life. I'm going to hand it over to my colleagues. Ms. Zappo.
I think you asked most of the questions. I am curious, you have a 10-year-old and a 4-year-old?
Yes,
Are they boys, girls?
I have 2 girls.
Okay. So are you gonna let family members give them rides like you've given rides to family members?
Absolutely not.
And have you seen them? What kind of parenting have you been doing from prison?
I talk to them every day. I've still been trying to get their visiting forms to come through, but my mom, she had like a record from a while ago, so she's not able to bring them up here, and I don't have DCF or anything like that for them to come up here. So, but I talk to them every day. Me and my mom share custody of my oldest one because I had her at 14. So me and my mom have her, and then my baby is with her father and his mom.
I don't have any other questions. Mr. Paul.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, give us a few minutes to deliberate and we'll get back to you shortly with our decision. All right, so Ms. Thomas, while she did complete the short-term sex offender program, I'm not sure what she gained from it. In addition, she received 12 serious disciplinary reports, continues to deny committing this offense. I just, I didn't know where to go with the questioning, and I'm not sure how I can help her, so I couldn't possibly support granting parole to this very serious offense where young girls were being prostituted and advertised on the internet for sex. So it will be a denial for me today. Ms. Zappa?
I think that there's been poor institutional adjustment and lack of program. And I've not seen as much evidence of offender change as I would have liked. So I'm a no for today as well.
Mr. Paul?
Great.
I think the nature and circumstance is important. Inadequate offender change is fine. The program, she took the program, she just didn't really change from it. Poor institutional adjustment, certainly. All right, in the matter of Ebony Thomas, I mean, number 424920, I'll move to deny parole for the following reasons. The nature and circumstance of this offense, inadequate evidence of offender change, and poor institutional adjustment as evidenced by the disciplinary reports. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye. All right. Unfortunately, Ms. Thomas, we could not grant you parole today, but we wish you the best. You have 5 years of probation to follow your sentence.
Okay.
Here, Ebony Thomas.
Wow, that was nice for a change. That was nice to see someone denied parole. I mean, could you imagine how she could have flunked her parole hearing any worse than she did? But it's just strange with these Connecticut parole hearings because you see hearings throughout the day, and sometimes they crash and burn in the parole hearing and they're given a denial, and sometimes they crash and burn, but they're not given a denial. And it's quite funny, actually, how it is that she talked about this parole hearing. And it was so confusing. What was she saying? Well, it was my, who said, my baby daddy's niece. So I put it into my chat GPT thing. Actually, I use Claude for my AI because I was like, what does that mean? And I mean, what it means is that it's her daughter's first cousin. Like, I don't know why you have to make it so like convoluted and confusing. Well, I was just driving around my baby daddy's niece. You mean your daughter's first cousin, your children's first cousin? I mean, wouldn't that make you their aunt? Wouldn't it make her your niece? Like, I don't. I don't know. But maybe I guess not if you're not tied through marriage. I don't know how that works. But can you imagine that you're driving around a girl? We don't know her age, but she's a madam. She's a pimp. She's driving them around. She's giving them a phone, using her email and contact information to set up ads, dropping them off at the location, and getting them money for it. And it's just crazy that she sits there, stating like, "Oh, I had no idea. I had really no clue. I was just being a good, person driving people around. She's paying me like an Uber. No, duh. I mean, of course, this is a completely normal Uber-like relationship." And it's just, you clown, you absolute clown. And, what's her record have? I don't know. Let me see. There's Sir Richard finds, and again, there's no news articles on this exact crime. There's nothing, because it's just a child, and her charge is risk of injury to a child. She got a maximum of 4 years. Her maximum release date is April 8th, 2026. So she has assault 3rd degree in 2017. She has reckless endangerment. She has criminal trespass, violation of probation. And then she finally has this risk of injury to a child in 2020. It says arrested in 2021. Sentenced on 12/18/2023. 10 years jail. Executed, suspended after 4 years with 5 years probation. And she's like, I don't know. She was just giving me the money. I had no idea. Wow. Like, you really think everyone around you are just a bunch of idiots? And the funny thing is when she goes to the parole interview and she states in the interview a completely different story, and we see that often. It's quite interesting how little they think about. You're about to go in a pre-parole hearing process, and you're going to tell someone something. Do you not think that maybe she's going to share what you told with her to the parole board? But we see it happen so often. And also what that means is, like, the person who's coming up for the parole hearing, they're not thinking, they're not even investigating with their friend. Hey, buddy, friends, what's the best process to get through this parole hearing? What should I say? Do you like it? I just feel like it's just whatever. I'll just go through it. It's like the criminal mind that's trying to just go through the process. I mean, what's it take to sell your really, I guess, nieces, or your at the very least your child's first cousin to men for money, and then take that money? And then, it was even that's like slip. She said, well, oh, is that other child the one who put me in prison? And they're like, no. You put yourself in prison. Or the fact that the new parole board member who stated, would you allow other people to just drive your kids around? That was a mic drop. Yeah. They're just like, what was it? These like distant relatives, your baby mother's nieces, second cousins once they move, but here's a phone. You put me under the family plan. Here's an email address that you happen to use. I'm such a good person. I'm driving you around, just little old me. Whoops, I had no idea they were selling their bodies to strangers for money, and I was taking it. Oh, silly me. You should get extra time just for that. And that's what also makes you wonder, like, these plea deals, they're happening in a vacuum behind closed doors, where the judge, where the DA is like, well, she only has like 3 prior felonies on her record. And or I don't even know if they're felonies. She only has this arrest. And, take it easy on her, judge. And the judge is like, okay. But like, all you have to do is have a conversation with her to realize that, man, she's learned nothing. She's taken no accountability. And it shouldn't make a difference that she's a woman. If she was a man, I think she might have gone more time. Before doing this parole hearings, I would have said for certain, but we've seen everything. We've seen the worst. We're actually about to watch the parole hearing of now a woman who actually did the act, who did the deed herself, wasn't just selling. So let's see how they treat her. And I wish I had more information to share with you, but I don't, because again, it's just children. So with that, let's jump in.
It's an impact. I should have, as an adult, I didn't set the boundaries that should have been set initially when I saw that the relationship between the juvenile and myself were becoming more too personal. I felt that I was getting through to the victim. He was relating to me. I didn't draw the line when they began to call me auntie, or when they began to look up to me as an authoritative figure. I
Well, I don't
stepped
think they
beyond.
looked at you as an authoritative figure, because they wouldn't ask an authoritative figure for alcohol or any contact. That's not what an authoritative figure provides. But I'm going to redirect you because you're getting away from my question. Who did your offense impact?
We are about to watch the parole hearing for a woman who I consider to be one of the most dangerous that we cover. Now, part of this is because it seems that the system still does not view them for what they are, which is a dangerous predator. It was only on October 11th, 2023, that she was sentenced for full-on SA of a child between the age of 13 and 16. She was only arrested on February 22nd, 2023 for this act. So if you can imagine, it has been a year since the date of sentencing, and she is already up for parole. Now, she was given a 30-month sentence for this. So again, ready to get out before the ink is dry, with 10 years probation and 10 years to be on the registry. Now, let's see if this woman takes accountability. Let's see how the parole board handles it. They really don't go into the information of this act, but it seems that it's possible that she was a relative of the victim, but I'm not 100% clear on that. I'll share whatever details Sarissa was able to find at the end. With that, let's jump in.
Kiana Little, 441077.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Kiana Little, inmate number 441077. She is serving a sentence of 10 years, suspended after 30 months with 10 years probation for sexual assault second. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date of November 24th, 2024. There is no victim input in the case. There is a defender accountability plan that is reviewed and shows she has completed Tier 2 and the short-term sex offender program. Utilizing the women's risk needs assessment board, the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the moderate range. Ms. Little, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Well, I had prepared a statement. I hope the board had received it. Honestly, I really took this year to, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I apologize real quick. Utilizing the women's risk needs assessment, the offender's overall score is low range, not moderate. Thank you.
I took this year to reflect. I'm actually grateful for this year that I've had. I needed to refocus, redirect my life, the decisions I was making, the path that I was on. I took advantage of every resources I had here while at York. I've enrolled myself. I self-educated myself. I went to every peer counseling. I went to every group meeting. I received my CDL here. So really, I took in this time, this full year, to just totally reflect on what happened, what occurred. I'm 45 years old, and I've never had a problem with the legal system. And I was spiraling. I will admit that I was spiraling. What I've learned is that to take responsibility for the actions and for the things that I've done is acknowledging and the ability to respond to what I've done. So I responded and I've sought the therapy that I need. I'm still ongoing therapy. I'm going to be a lifelong learner. I've never had a problem with the criminal justice system. Matter of fact, I'm educated in the justice system, which is why it's very ironic why I just spiraled. It was just at a bad decision in my life, but I'm ready. I'm refocused. I have a host of family support. I already am signed up with CCAR. I do have therapy that will occur when I'm here. I do have a career to fall back on. I've had numerous careers, so where I should decide as far as employment, I have many options. I have a sponsor, Jennifer Reed, who I've been talking to, who's waiting for me upon release. Upon release, I will be going with my daughter. I would like to reestablish my relationship with my children, continue therapy on myself, and just redirect my path and my focus into life.
All right, Ms. Little, thank you for your statement. We do have questions for you, and when we're done,
Sure.
we'll deliberate, okay?
Okay.
So, Ms. Little, you, as you said, you're not a young person, right? You're an adult. You have adult children, in fact, of your own. You're educated. You've never been in trouble before, but you obviously knew what you were doing was wrong. So I'm interested in knowing how you got to that point. Like, why did you do this?
At the time, I won't totally blame alcohol because it was my decision to drink, but I was at a spiral in my life, and alcohol was just my morning, noon, and night. It was my Band-Aid, it was my camouflage, and of course, it led me to make poor, extremely poor decisions. I come from an alcoholic family on my father's side, and that's something that I said I would never do. But I ended up self-medicating. I'll be honest. I ended up self-medicating instead of seeking real therapy. And the way I grew up and in my family, going to see a therapist was a faux pas. It was something you don't do, something that was frowned upon. It was a sign of weakness. So that's how I grew up. I'm 45, like I said. So therapy wasn't an option. We were keep your business suppressed, deal with it on your own. So that's what I've learned to do as of growing up. But when I became of age to begin to work and take accountability, I began to start seeking that outside therapy, seeking outside resources to help me cope, to help me deal with life's pressures. I'm also a victim of abuse, and to become an abuser, it's just, I can't give you a definitive answer. All I can say is I did it. If I could change time, I would totally make that decision over. I would have sought help immediately when I felt that my drinking had become a problem. I didn't do that. I waited until it was the point of no return.
Okay. So you didn't take the Voices program, or I don't think you did. You didn't, right?
Well, I've been on that program since I've been enlisted here. I was told that there's a long wait list.
Okay.
I even have statements where they said I'd probably be paroled or in a halfway house before I'm even offered
Okay.
that. But everything else I
Understand.
took advantage.
I understand, but okay, so you haven't taken the program, but what have you learned about who your offense impacted?
I learned I took the sexual behavior therapy course with Dr. Sheffel. It's an extreme impact. It's an impact I should have, as an adult, I didn't set the boundaries that should have been set initially when I saw that the relationship between the juvenile and myself were becoming more too personal. I felt that I was getting through to the victim. He was relating to me. I didn't draw the line when they began to call me auntie, or when they began to look up to me as an authoritative figure. I
Well, I don't
stepped
think they
beyond.
looked at you as an authoritative figure, because they wouldn't ask an authoritative figure for alcohol or any sexual contact. That's not what an authoritative figure provides. But I'm going to redirect you because you're getting away from my question. Who did your offense impact?
Do you want the name of the victim?
No, in general.
Oh,
Okay,
it-
obviously
it-
the victim.
It
Who else?
affected my victim, of course, my
Who else?
children. No, my
Yeah.
my children, my family, but most importantly, it affected me.
In fact,
I
I mean, you betrayed the trust of so many people. So that
I
the
know.
place where you were working, those children's parents, I mean, you know, they're a lot, the community at large. Voices would teach you that the impact, it's a ripple effect.
I understand that.
Okay.
I understand that. I take full accountability and responsibility, like I said.
Yeah. So what are your plans? You mentioned job opportunities. Where do you plan to work?
Well, prior to coming here, I've had like I said, I'm very educated. I planned on returning back to funeral services, but since I've been here, I did take the CDL driving course. I would like to pursue that career, but I also have education in catering, criminal justice, administration.
So do you have a job waiting? I guess I'm asking you specifically. Where do you
Yes,
plan to work?
I plan to return to the funeral home service that I was in before I got here.
Okay. And what do you do there?
I'm a greeter.
Okay. And they're willing to give you your job back?
Well, as far as when I left, yes.
Okay. All right. And what type of programming or treatment do you think you need in the community?
In the community, of course, I'm going to continue to be involved with my local church. I'm already signed up for CCAR. Jennifer Reed is my sponsor there. I plan on doing that. I want to do some more self therapy within my community. So that's something I will have to look into. I'm not sure what's available now. I've been here for over 15 months. I've had therapy before, but it was more so rehabilitation therapy as far as alcoholism and things like that. But I need some more reflective therapy.
And what about treatment for problem sexual behavior?
I think I would probably pursue that as well. I would like to
you know, it would be one of your conditions.
Oh, that's
you understand
fine.
it would be required.
I have no
but do you
problem with
think
that.
you could benefit from it?
I think I will. Absolutely.
Okay. Are your children aware of the complete circumstances of your offense?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
With the exception of my 11-year-old, he doesn't know the in-depth details of that, but he does know why I'm here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you for speaking with me. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Zappa. Thank you.
So in my estimation, you know, you've had some statements and you've addressed some of them here today, but one that stuck with me in your interview, Ms. Little, is that you said you were drinking up until the time you were incarcerated and that you were not in need of treatment because you, quote, it was a mistake and it never happened before. Alcohol played a role in it and I should have known better. I mean, I think your offense is greater than just a simple lapse of judgment and that you should have known better. It's far reaching and it affected a minor. It affected their family. There's emotional damage there. So I know that you too perceive yourself as a victim, but there's multiple other victims based on your actions. And I'm concerned about the risk factor of you going back into the community and not being adequately able to manage those risks. Treatment is great, but I think you need more than just that. I think that you need to have a pretty strong support system. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about what the role of your family is and what that release plan looks like once you get back into the community.
Well, my family consists, I have a very, very extremely large family. I'm the baby of, well, the youngest of 3 siblings. One of my sisters has 11 children and grandchildren. My other sister has a child and grandchildren. I have 4 children. So I have over 40 people in my immediate family. I really don't, outside of my immediate family, I don't communicate with my other family, extended family, which live in the state of New Jersey. Like I said, I've reached out to seek therapy with Jennifer Reed, she's been very active since May. I talk to her on a tablet on a weekly basis. She's there for me and will assist me in my reentry plan. I also completed the 5 Ventures since I've been here. The 5 Ventures is an entrepreneurship program which will help me regain employment, housing, and assistance that I need to reestablish myself as a returning citizen. I totally have the backbone of my church family, my religious organizations, which I did was not active as I should have at the time of the offense. So I'm prepared. I have resources. Like I said, I don't plan to end my therapy here. I'm still in therapy. I still go to group. I don't plan to end that. I think I'm going to be continued in that. I think that's something that everybody needs. So I do plan on seeking that the continual sexual abuse therapy, not only for my victim and understanding my victim, but also I'm an adult. I'm not going to call myself a victim anymore because that happened when I was a child, but I know what my actions had the effect on another person. And I really would like to learn more about how this can be prevented. Why did I even, I really cannot tell you why I did it. All I can determine now is what do I do from here? It happened, it occurred. How do I correct this behavior? Is this a behavior that will continue to happen? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But why? And preventative therapy, that's what I want to seek for myself. I just want to continue therapeutic for my own mental health and well-being, as well as my family.
So one of the challenges that I think you're going to face is the no contact with minors, which will most likely be part of a conditional release. So you've talked about your church, you've talked about your family with nephews and nieces. That's going to be something that you're going to have to navigate and reach out and ask for support and guidance from your probation and parole systems. And do you feel like you're going to be comfortable to be able to do that?
Yes, actually, I'm not sure if you are aware, I did file a motion, which I was just granted, that I can have supervised visitation with my biological my grandson. That was just awarded from the courts last month. But we did address because I have a large family, and the judge did say I will be able to come back. He wants to see how I do while I'm out and see how the conditions will be. But as far as my son and my grandson, that's contact. And as far as my role with my family being it so large, it will always be supervised. My sisters both agreed that they will be the middle person.
I'm going to interrupt. You understand conditions of parole are very different from court orders.
Yes, I understand that.
So if we give you a condition that you can't have contact with minors, it doesn't matter what the court said. Those are different. You understand that?
Yes, but I am allowed to see my grandson. I am allowed to see my child.
If your parole officer says you can't, then you can't.
Oh, yes, I understand that, but that's why I'm going through these steps to make sure it's okay.
Right, but what I'm telling you is if we tell you here today it's not okay, then you can't. The court order does not override parole conditions. I want you to know they're very separate processes.
Okay, that's fine.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm done.
Oh, okay, thank you. Mr. Paul.
I think what I want to explore a little further is what your recovery plan looks like.
My recovery plan? Well, I have no longer been drinking. I haven't been in contact with anyone. I just plan on continuing to seek therapy, continue to raise my child, I have to reestablish myself. I have to get an apartment. I have to get employment.
Let's dial it back a little bit. What is your recovery plan?
Continue therapy. Therapy, of course. I need to have someone I can talk to.
And that's it.
Therapy and the support of my family. Yes.
So it's hard for me to believe that with you talking about the relationship that you have with Jennifer Reed, that therapy is the only thing that you're gonna give. Right? So alcohol was a big part of this.
Yeah.
You, right?
Yes, sir.
So the thing is that you going to therapy, where does the pro-social support come from that you need in order to continue to maintain recovery?
Maintain recovery. I plan on continue the rehabilitation of not use of alcohol. You reach out to my resources of my sponsor, like I said, Jennifer Reed. Reach out when I feel that I don't have, as of right now, since I've been here, an urgency or a need. I see what alcohol have. It's destroyed my whole life. I definitely don't plan to continue that. So my support is I'm going to reach out to my community. That's all I have is my community, my family, and my own moral judgments. And my God, I mean, no one else can make.
You've referred to Jennifer Reed as your sponsor a few times. Talk to me about that.
She's helped me with the condition as far as mental health. Am I thinking about drinking? What do I do? What stressors? What have I done here? What has my focus been? How do I respond in stressful situations? So she's pretty much been like her, with the exception of
No,
the counselors in here. I'm sorry.
I said, the chair asked me if I knew of Jennifer Reed, and I do. She's with CCAR.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like I said, as far as that, I'm gonna continue to reach out to my community. I'm gonna do some continue some AA therapy, even, just in case, it's
Right.
just a
Usage of
precaution.
therapy as a catch-all phrase. AA is not therapy. Yeah, that's the issue. Okay.
So
What's the issue? I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to understand your recovery plan.
Right.
And what the chair just said was that you're using therapy as a catch-all phrase. Because like you just said, AA therapy.
Well, recovery is not to do what I did to get myself here. Recovery is taking each day and living each day personal truths and making right decisions. I mean, having a therapist there to guide me is just an extra precaution, but rehabilitation, that's something I believe that that's the decision I have to make. I have to take responsibility for myself, my actions. I can't have someone holding my hand telling me what to do. I have to do that. I have to make these steps. If I need help, I need to reach out. So as far as what I plan to do, I plan on raising my child. I plan on gaining employment, reestablishing my life,
Right.
and becoming a successful member of society.
I think that part of it, Ms. Little, is that there's a strong sense of you being in control of it all. That's kind of like what I'm hearing. And so one of the big things with dealing with substance use is humility.
Yes, sir.
And it's like not if I, right? It's if I were in your seat and I was coming out here, I'd be finding out from Jennifer Reed, where are some good meetings that I could be at? Where are some good women's meetings that I could be at?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we're discussing. I've even attended Rushford prior to this, I put myself in a 30-day program.
Yeah,
So
I saw
of
that.
course, this is all a part of the process that she's going to help me work through, where I can get adequate therapy, women's group support system, support team. Yes. She's going to be my coach to help me to enroll in those programs. And of course, any conditions that you feel that might benefit me, of course, I will absolutely comply with what the Department of Justice, the Department of Corrections, or even the judge, whatever you think that I need, I am willing to do to get back out there and become a productive member of my society.
Um, I don't have anything.
Thank you. Ms. Little, are you an alcoholic?
No, not anymore. But people say that alcoholism is a lifelong.
Right.
I don't consider it lifelong. No, I was an alcoholic then. I am not an alcoholic now.
Are you a recovering alcoholic?
I am a recovering alcoholic.
Right. So you're using a lot of terms and intertwining a lot of different things. And that's why I interrupted my colleague before to try to separate some things out. And I did the same to my other colleagues. So I apologize to both of you. But do you plan to attend therapy?
Absolutely.
Do you have a
I
therapist?
think it's necessary. Yes.
Who's your
I think it's
therapist?
necessary. I'm going to go through Jennifer Reed, like I said, as far as the alcoholism.
Jennifer Reed is not a.
I know
she's
she's
not a therapist.
I understand that she's CCAR. I was in Blake Street in Westville, Connecticut. I don't know what's available out there right now. I know when I was going, the therapist I had was just for alcohol. I want just not for alcohol. I want therapy for the entire person, not just for rehabilitation. And that's something I have to seek through my Husky
Well, and they are
program.
very separate things, which is what we're
Right.
trying to tell you.
Right.
There's a recovery coach, there's AA, there's a sponsor, there's individual therapy. They're very separate things.
Right. I understand that. But that's,
Yeah.
I will have to find those separate entities according to my healthcare plan, what is covered to do.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I said, I don't know what's available out there. I've been here
So
for
if you get
14
parole,
months.
you'll have the assistance of a parole officer. You have 10 years of probation, so you'll have the
Yes.
assistance of a probation officer.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Zappa?
I just want to go back to your interview with your parole officer in preparation for today. He notes in the report that you were not able to identify any risks that you may face upon release. Have you had an opportunity to rethink that? Because along the lines of the questions we're asking you, all of this is intertwined with how to respond to risks. What's that responsivity?
How to respond to risk is,
Identifying the risks first is the first.
I understand. The first piece is I know I'm going to be very restricted. I'm going to be very limited. The risk is I'm going to face alcoholism. I'm going to face community resistance. I know I'm going to face trust issues with people. I know employment might be an issue, but like I said, I have a employer that's willing to take me back. I have to regain totally everything within my community, even with my family. You know, I have to get them acquainted and accustomed with this is how my life is now. This is how I will need to be monitored when I'm around you. I can't just do this and I can't just do that. I have to seek permission. I know everything, it has to come before my parole officer before I can do anything. I understand that. So it's just explaining to who I'm around and pretty much not being around, not putting myself in risk situations. As long as I can avoid not being in riskful situations, which I've never had that problem before. I work, I'm home with my family. I'm not a community oriented person. So it's just a matter of modifying how my relationships is with my family members and reaching out to the community to see what one-on-one therapy, with all these different paths of therapy that I need to seek and sponsorship and groups and things like that, I have to fit that all in within my lifespan, within 24 hours of the day or the week. It's an adjustment. I admit I will have to make those necessary adjustments because if it's necessary, it's necessary. It's not an if, it's a certainty.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Little, give us a few minutes to discuss your case. We're going to deliberate and we'll give you our decision very shortly, okay?
Yes.
All right, so Ms. Little has taken programming. She clearly has support and she has some plan for when she goes in the community. There's some minimization here, definitely. I think she believes she knows more than she actually does about recovery, addiction, sexual offenses. And I think there's some denial too, right? Maybe she doesn't want to accept really where she is in her life and what she's done. There's a lot of work left to be done here. A lot of work. But I believe with the help of parole and then 10 years of probation, that she can get there. I think she's done all that she can do within the walls of York. And I would be willing to grant parole today so that she can go out and continue the very necessary work in the community. Ms. Zappo.
I didn't see the level of offender change that I was hoping to from a woman who has this level of education, but I think that's also something that's holding her back, as you said, that she seems to have all the answers. I think it's going to be interesting. You're not going to be in control over the next 10 years, and I think you have to acknowledge that, and you're only going to be successful if you accept the support and acknowledge the needs that you're going to have in order to be successful. So I will agree to support the discretionary parole because of the probation of 10 years. I think that if it was anything less than that, I might be hesitant to do so.
Mr. Paul?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too would support parole in this case. All of the concerns that you both shared, I have the same concerns.
Yeah.
And I hope that, part of going to treatment for problem sexual behavior is going to be a mental health component.
Right.
And I really think that that's something that's needed here.
Yeah.
Because, it's just things that we've been talking about are wrong thinking kind of things,
Yep.
But I would support that.
Thank you. All right. So I have a victim, JDP, no minors, no alcohol, problem sexual behavior treatment, mental health evaluation. Anything else?
So,
And just, as noted, she's on the registry for 10 years as well.
Yep. Okay, in the matter of Kiana Little, inmate number 441077, I'll move to grant parole effective today, December 20th, 2024, with the following additional conditions. No contact with your victim, initials JDP. No contact with minors without the express permission of your parole officer. No minors. No consumption of alcoholic beverages, problem sexual behavior treatment in the community, and a mental health evaluation and treatment if it's deemed necessary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you so much.
All right, keep working on yourself.
I
We wish you the
definitely
best.
will. So I guess I'll get more information later.
Yeah, someone will
Okay.
reach out to you. Yeah, it won't be
Okay.
today, obviously,
Okay.
but okay, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much.
What a disgusting hearing. I'm just pissed off watching this. She comes in here and she denies, lies. No accountability, nothing. She did nothing right. And they reward her with parole because she can get more programs on the outside. It's not as if should be some type of accountability that can be taken when you are having your parole hearing. This is someone who is dangerous. You know who she reminded me of? She reminded me of Sarah Boone. She's talking about how educated she is, how fantastical she is, how knowledgeable she is. And it's like, well, what's your job? Well, I'm a greeter at a funeral home. And the parole board, just because she was talking about how educated she is, that, wow, she's really educated. She's got a lot. She's great in the community. How creepy. Are you not creeped out to find out that she works at a funeral home? I know that creeps the hell out of me. Now, if you're curious what she did, this didn't make the news. But from the legislation, the plea deal that she took, it can give us an idea. Okay. So according to what she took a plea deal for, remember, she didn't go to trial or anything. This whole entire process happened really, really, really quickly. She was arrested on 2/22/2023. So February 22nd, 2023, she's arrested. She's sentenced on October 11th, 2023. She's given 30 months. And now she's paroled basically a year and 2 months later. And what it means is that what she took a plea deal on was sexual assault second degree. Now, sexual assault second degree means that a person is guilty of SA in the second degree when the person engages in S and full-on intercourse with another person when that person is 13 years of age or older but under 16. So this child could have been 13, 14, 15, or 16 years old. There it is. Can you imagine that the legislation says that they should be sentenced to a term of imprisonment of which 9 months of the sentence is imposed may not be suspended or reduced by the court? The minimum for doing that is 9 months. The minimum. That's legislation in Connecticut. You know, if you go and steal a car, I guarantee you the minimum's greater than 9 months. Steal a purse, you know, do something. But when it's a child, yes, it's not so important. And it sounds like, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong because this hearing was so vague, but I think it was a family member. And she takes no accountability. It was probably one of the worst hearings we've ever had. She starts off by blaming it on alcohol, on how it was her band-aid morning, afternoon, night. It was her everything. It even runs in her family. And then they say, well, okay, what are you going to do when you get out? Oh, Miss Reed, Miss Jennifer Reed. That was her answer for everything. Like, we've heard her name, Miss Jennifer Reed, brought up, but she didn't know. It was just, oh, Miss Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer. She's my answer for everything. Sure. Yep. Are you an alcoholic? No, I am not. I mean, I've been locked up for a whole 9 months, so of course I've been clean. Wow, they're sick. You know, she alters the life of a child. She takes no accountability, and she's in her Sarah Boone brain, so smart, the smartest person in the room. She's going to go back there and work at the funeral home, which I don't think is a given. You know, if she's gotten any type of reputation in this small little world, you think you want to be greeted by a child essayer when you're dealing with this stuff? Or she'll go get her CDL license like every other chomo goes and does. But I have no other information. There's nothing on this. If you recognize we had a new parole board member in town, I don't think we've gone over her yet. So here we can do that now. Miss Zapo Sasu was appointed by the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles as a full-time member in October of 2024. She previously served as the town manager of Enfield and the mayor of the city of Bristol. In both roles, she concentrated efforts on creating community resources, safety nets, and vulnerable populations. Hey, but if you're releasing a child predator into the world, who cares, right, Mayor? Right. She was also the task force in the Opioid Prevention and Silver Tally Award for its work on removing the stigma of substance misuse and encouraging recovery while the city of the Bristol recovery, encouraging diversity, blah, 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 blah. I'm done reading it. Pathetic. I just don't understand why those put in charge of us can't see that this is someone who is do you not understand that this has nothing to do with your alcohol, which I think, you know, it's easy for me to say, maybe she made it all up. Like, chomos are chomos. Those who harm children, that's what is in them, but they don't see it that way. She has to register for 10 years. Oh, it got completely out of control. She failed every question miserably. I'm the victim. She really views herself as the victim. I didn't set boundaries. I felt that he was looking up to me. At one point, when he called me auntie, here we are. But I'm very educated. I have educations in law enforcement. I have educations in culinary. I'm getting a CDL license. Right. That's why you're doing the most sophisticated job possible by being a greeter at a funeral. And wow, you're really highly educated lady. She could do no wrong. It makes me sick. No. You shouldn't have paroled her. but their answer is, well, she has nothing else to do on the inside. How about she just simply hasn't served enough time for altering the life of a child? How about she completely failed her parole hearing that she shouldn't get out? It was a 30-month sentence, suspended with 10 years probation. So why don't you let her fill out a few more of those 30 months? No. Give her a cookie. Give her a cookie for failing miserably. Disturbing, pathetic, sick. That's my opinion. With that, I'll let you go.
I felt that I was getting through to the victim. He was relating to me. I didn't draw the line when they began to call me auntie or when they began to look up to me as an authoritative figure. One of my sisters has 11 children and grandchildren. My other sister has a child and grandchildren. I have 4 children.